coming back to a video where there's been a bunch of substitutions made, but I didn't get to see what had happened, so we don't know who's in or not. Hawkins, back over to Peyton. I think Hawkins just came in for somebody. 4-point lead, 5 minutes left in the second. Pushed out of bounds, last touch by Pacer. And the Sonics will substitute Williams for Baker. Wasn't Ray Allen on the Sonics? Like, I kind of thought he'd be in this game. Because he retired a few years ago. Peyton, over to Hawkins. Back over to Peyton. 10 to shoot. Peyton, working a lane, fires. Free throw territory, and he makes it. 5 left in the half. Jackson. Over to Pope. Back over to Mullen, who fires a fadeaway. Didn't make it. That would have been a hell of a shot. But Seattle with the rebound, and here come the Sonics. Hawkins. Trying to back his way into the key. Didn't happen. Gives it off to Schrampf. Back over to Peyton, who pump fakes. Peyton. Over to Hawkins. Triple coverage. 5 to shoot. Back to Peyton, who fires a 3. Missed it. Indiana ball. Was nearly rebounded by Seattle. Jackson will give it off to Davis. Back over to Jackson. Jackson with the lane. Nice little jumper. Oh, and he missed it. I thought for sure that went in. No goaltending calls. Hawkins will lay it up and in. I thought Pacers shot. I thought that went in because it looked like it did. I guess it did. It got rebounded like right at the rim, so I'm surprised no goaltending call was made. Miller will give it to Davis, who fires one from the free throw line, and that goes in. The largest lead of the game has been 8. We have not hit double digits. Been relatively close as Peyton gives it off to Schrampf, over to McIlvain, over to Hawkins, who fires a turnaround fadeaway, didn't make it, and the assist, that didn't happen. And the Pacers trying to come back with 3 left in the second quarter. Jackson trying to work the lane, didn't happen. Over to Pope, over to Miller, who had a 3, stolen by Seattle. Over to McIlvain. Back over to Schrampf, back to McIlvain. Schrampf, 7 to shoot. Back to Peyton, over to Hawkins. A lot of hot potato. Hawkins fires. Missed his shot. Indiana rebound. 2:40 left in the second quarter. Jackson working. Over to Pope. That was a dangerous pass and it proved costly. Seattle's turnover. I'm sorry, Indiana turnover. Hawkins with an open lane gets quickly covered. Schrampf over to Peyton. Working. 10 to shoot. Fires one inside the key. Goes in. Jackson. Just a little over 2 minutes to play. The lead is back up to 8, but Miller missed his shot under the basket. That's a rarity. Stolen by Indiana. There's a dangerous pass. Jackson has it. Gives it off to Mullen, who gives it back off to Jackson. Jackson with the nice little up in the paint. And they keep this game alive. Indiana playing stubborn, and it's out of bounds on Seattle. Pacers will substitute Smits for Pope. D. Davis will come in for A. Davis. I wonder if they're brothers. Perkins will come in for McIlvain. This is on the Sonics side. Because they're number 32 and 33, and their last name is Davis, so. Miller with the ball. Back to Jackson. Jackson looking around. With the screen. Trying to drive it back in. Over to Mullen. And a defensive foul on the Sonics. So with 1:33 left in the second, Indiana dishes that over to Miller. Back to Jackson. Back to Smits. Game of hot potatoes, stolen by Seattle. The 4 steals for Seattle versus the Indiana's 9. Nice little jump shot. And that's what Indiana needs to do. They need to get right there next to the basket and lay those shots in there. Seattle's done a good job with their field goals. As the lead for Seattle's back up to 8. Indiana looking for some momentum. Jackson, stolen, and that was kind of a careless pass. Oh, excuse me, Peyton. Trying to get the Sonics a double-digit lead. Over to Perkins. Defensive foul. It is Seattle's ball. Hoiberg will come in for Miller with 1 minute left in the second. I guess that's a good idea. Kersey will come in for Williams. This is for the Sonics. Miller got rotated. He was on the Pacers. If you guys just weren't paying attention. Payton with the ball. Nice little layup, and that gives Seattle the 10-point lead and the biggest lead of the evening. Under a minute left in the second quarter here in Indianapolis. Stolen by Seattle. They've had 5 steals in like the last 4 minutes as Peyton will just walk that up and in. And it's now 12 points. Jackson. Giving it off to Mullen, who turns and fires, and he keeps it back to 10. If Indiana can just learn to hit those shots, this will be a lot closer game. Not that it isn't close. I mean, it's not a blowout. Hawkins with the ball. Fires. Missed his shot. Indiana ball. 22 seconds left. Jackson. Over to Mullen, who fires, and he makes a nice little jumper. So all of a sudden, less than a minute left in the half, Indiana's got a little bit of steam. 16 seconds left. Peyton. Are we gonna see another try for a last second jump shot? Stolen by Indiana. 9 to shoot. 8, 7, 6, 5. Over to Smits, who turns and fires, and a 12-point lead has just dissipated back to 6. Indiana rolling with all kinds of momentum. 3 seconds left. This is going to be a tough shot for Peyton, who fires, and he just completely airballs it. That's embarrassing. Well, after the first half, it was 56 to 44. And all of a sudden, in like the last minute, Indiana has downed that back to 6. Let's take a look at the highlights. Or at least the stats right now. See the field goals. 12 for 20. Indiana is stepping it up. And Seattle's keeping it at 500. 14 for 27. Nobody's made a three-pointer. Nobody has gone to the free throw line. 2 blocks by Indiana, but 6 steals from both sides. 10 assists by Indiana. Indiana has turned the ball over 12 times on a flurry of careless passing and overthrowing passing. Meanwhile, Seattle's turned it over 8. So as far as turnovers, both teams are doing terrible. Indiana's had 3 fouls. Seattle's had the 1. The longest run has been 6 points, and the longest scoring drought, keeping it even at 2 minutes, 2:04 for the Sonics, 2:10 for the Pacers. So all in all, this game relatively really close. The only thing that I would say, I'd give the advantage to Seattle right now, just because they are making their free throws. Not free throws, they're making their field goals. Whereas Indiana, they've had a lot of opportunities inside the key, and they just can't get it. Like Miller missed a couple. I think Mullen missed a couple. Smits, there at the end, was getting going. He scored 4 of those 6 points that were made. Well, we're going to go into the third. It is a 6-point game. Stay tuned. Got another close one here in the Market Square Arena.